I'd be intrigued. I'd try and write off some of Estrada's inconsistency, Mike, from June 1st on and say our ideal scenario is playoffs. Our ideal scenario is a division series, and Marco Estrada fortifies our starting rotation, so we're awfully interested. I do think teams are going to be very intrigued, regardless of his results the rest of the month, I suppose.
Yeah, I think they'll be intrigued, and they'll want this, quote-unquote proven playoff performer, but they're also going to say, look, he's got an ERA of 9.50 over his last 8 starts. I mean, I'd love to take him on a flyer to see if he can turn things around and pitch for us in the playoffs. I'm not going to give you anything for him, and that's the thing, right? You're not getting an asset of any significance at all for Marco Estrada, because the team that picks him up is going to say, yeah, I hope he can turn things around, and it would be great if he could here, but that's the gamble that I'm taking, so I'm not giving you anything.
It's because there are two ways you could look at this. There's no question that you're looking at supply and demand. And so if you're a team and you're looking around at pitching, there have been pitchers that have had worse recent track records that have garnered teams' assets than Marco Estrada right now. So you call, you talk, it's possible.
I'm not sure there have, to be honest with you.
All right, so that argument's over.
Well, no, it's not. No, but we're isolating. He's had 18 starts this year. I'd say, I'm not a huge quality start fan, but I can't tell you this for sure. So data is more important than speculation. You love speculation. Anyway, 8 of 10, let's say 8 of 10 of the 18 starts are quality starts. I agree with you. That's my argument if I'm the Arizona Diamondbacks. My argument back is the Blue Jays is, okay, fine. Teams tend to circle back around. We know how much circling there was around David Price 2 years ago. We know there was circling around Roy Halladay when JP was still the GM in 09 around this time of year. So I do think I think they can establish a market, but I agree a 4 ERA or a 3.90 ERA is better than a 5.17 ERA to build a bidding war. No question about it. No question.
For me, here's the thing, right? If you're a contender, and a contender's the only one who's going to want Marco Estrada, and I hate to say terrible things, but I'm not saying anything terrible about Marco Estrada, but if you're a contender, then you want a guy who's going to help you win a division. You're not going to nobody's giving up anything of significance to try to get into a coin flip game, but you want a guy who's going to help you win a division. You want a guy who's pitching well. And sample size is sample size. Recency is maybe the most important thing. I've said this many times when we're talking about the Blue Jays approaching trade deadlines as buyers the last couple of years. The ideal thing you want is a good player who you will take a not-so-good player who is playing well. And that's, for me, that's Justin Smoke, track record-wise. But to take a good player who is playing poorly, that is something that you don't want to do as far as what happens, when you're trying to build assets.
So what are we looking at here heading towards the second half? You have a number of aging players at different positions. You have a Bautista, and you have a Martin, and you have a Tulowitzki, and none of them are going to be better than they've ever been before. And is there anybody that's calling for any of them? And, of course, there's certain things you can't do with certain players. Bautista's one of them. So what do you do?
For me, what you do is, the best course of action for this team is that guys start playing like who they really are. And that's starting to happen. The Blue Jays, even though they got destroyed yesterday and Friday, they won 4 of their last 6. Martin is hitting close to 500 over the last week. Bautista has reached base in 14 of his last 30 plate appearances or something like that. Tulowitzki's 9 for 20. Donaldson has reached base in 7 straight plate appearances. They're starting to come around. And, they're due for a massive correction because everybody on the team except for Justin Smoke is underperforming offensively. So, you're right that they're never going to be better than they've ever been because they're almost all on the wrong side of 30, and Bautista at least is on the wrong side of 35. But these are still, Major League Baseball, Major League hitters tend to decline as they age, but they tend not to go from 800 OPSs to 600 OPSs in 1 year. And so I believe that the best thing they do, because you're not getting anything for Estrada, you're not getting anything for Liriano, you're not getting anything for Joe Smith. Jose Bautista is a 10-5 guy. You're probably not going to get anything from him anyway. The best thing to do is buy, hold, and hope to prosper.
But everything that you just said about those guys, why doesn't that apply to Estrada? You say that they should start.
It absolutely applies to Estrada, but it's not when you're trying to trade a guy. You can't say that, hey, give me something really good because he's going to get better.
I didn't say give me something. You give me something is what I was saying. If I'm another team and you're talking about they will eventually be we hope they'll be the guys we think they are. If there's not a whole lot of pitching that I can acquire, then I'm hoping this guy's going to be that guy. I'll give you something for him.
You're not going to give me something of significance. You're going to give like a B or a C level prospect. No, not even a B, a C level prospect, and you're going to ask me to take on some of the money. And for me, it's worth keeping Estrada than giving him away for almost nothing.